Hi, I'm Josh.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Al. Now, we understand that every 3 seconds a new podcast is created, and now there's actually one podcast for every 3 people.
So we just wanted to take a minute to say thank you very much for downloading this one, and we hope you enjoy it.
In a nutshell, we realised that some of our film tastes weren't what you'd call conventional. So we decided to talk about them and hopefully shed some light on some films that either didn't get what we felt deserved at the time, or we just wanted to rewatch and talk about them.
You don't have to have seen the film, but if you haven't, you may want to just give it a quick Google.
What's the and that?
Enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome to Just Films and That, where we discuss films we feel may be underrated, underappreciated, or we just want to talk about them. I'm Josh Hallam. I'm here with Adam Ward.
Hello.
And Al Bollins.
Hello.
Also, we should just mention first and foremost that we are recording this during the lockdown, so we hope everyone is doing well. We thought we'd put together a couple of special episodes for you to keep you entertained during the time when it's pretty vital to keep entertained. And I will also mention before we get started that we are doing all this via Zoom, so bear with us with the audio. We will do our best. We're joined by a very special guest today, Tez Ilyas. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for having me.
It's all right. It's a pleasure. How are you? How are you coping with the lockdown?
It's all right. I'm at home with my mama, and I cannot recommend being in lockdown with your mum enough.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I can believe that. Yeah.
It is. I just feel like I'm 14 again. My mum just wants to run around after me and cook for me and take care of me and stuff. And who am I to stop her?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I could do with some of that.
Yeah, I'm just one person. You know, I can only have a certain amount of power, you know, within me. So she's overwhelmed me with her love.
So we always start with a random question that's absolutely nothing to do with films. It's just a general throwaway question. So I'll ask the lads first to give you an idea. Adam, what's your favourite fizzy drink? I'm talking like pop, not beer.
You know, I'm big on Fanta. You know what I really like is Fanta Grape.
Fanta Grape?
So good.
I've never heard of it.
Or if I'm feeling fancy, I like Blood Orange San Pellegrinos.
Oh,
With the foil on the top.
They are very rich.
They are.
yeah.
Like, I only really, if you go into like a nice Italian restaurant in the day, that's where you're going to get those blood oranges.
What about you, Al?
Well, for the purpose of the audio, I'm reaching into my fridge.
Al lives in one room next to a fridge.
Yeah. Pepsi Max. Not Diet Coke, not normal Pepsi, Pepsi Max.
Do you not find the sweeteners make your teeth feel furry?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely doing a lot of damage the amount I drink. I drink a lot of fizzy drinks. Too much.
Yeah.
Mine's probably I love an iron brew.
I was going to say Iron Brew.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Iron brew with fish and chips is amazing.
Yeah.
Or I do like to go old school, and I don't even know where I can get it anymore, but I quite like Tizer. But it's like I don't even know if they make it anymore.
I remember like they had like so many ads.
I'm red, I'm Tizer head. Yeah. Tez, what about you? What's your favourite fizzy drink?
I will go top 3. Third place, old school, Lilt, totally tropical taste of Lilt. Second place, I'll probably have to go Tango. Probably
Which one?
Because I love the orange one. I think probably more because I love the advert more than anything else. You've been tangled. Just from that, I was like, you know what? This drink speaks to me.
Tango from a can or Tango from a bottle?
All drinks taste better from a bottle.
Oh, I think
Sorry, no, glass bottle.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Okay,
all
okay.
drinks
Yeah.
taste better from a glass bottle,
Okay.
but
okay.
I would choose a can over a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
Just
Me
for
too.
me, I always went Fanta bottle, Tango can.
Okay.
In at number 1.
Number 1, obviously, there's only one right answer, and that is Mango Rubicon.
Oh yeah, that is a good shout.
That's a strong-
Oh, the Rubicon.
Rubicon Mango from all your favorite Asian takeaways. That is.
Yeah, a lot of my mates are very big on the Rubicon. Like all my mates from home come from Leeds. All my mates from home love Rubicon. Like it's all they go on about constantly.
For a bit, they did I think this sounds so middle class, but they did a lychee flavoured one. It was so nice.
I don't even know what lychee is.
It's like a little fruit that looks a bit like a furry bollock.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
So enjoy one with that image in your mind, Al.
That guava one is quite nice as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's nice. But yeah, Rubicon Mango is very sad for me.
The film you've picked, Tez, you've picked From Dusk Till Dawn. So before we start, massive spoiler warning, and there is spoilers for this one. So if you've not seen it, go and watch it, or if you're not bothered, carry on listening. But spoilers for this. Tez, do you want to tell us what it's about?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say the same thing. I was like, if you haven't seen it, maybe pause or stop this and watch it and then come back. But so it's a brilliant film written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Robert Rodriguez, and Tarantino has actually also given himself a bigger part than he normally does when he makes cameos in this, for better or for worse. It's a film starring George Clooney and Harvey Keitel, and George Clooney and Tarantino are brothers, gangsters. Tarantino has broken George Clooney out of prison at the beginning of the film, and they've taken a hostage. Tarantino is a psychopath and kills the hostage because he's a psychopath. They then kidnap a family to try and take them over the Mexican border, and the family consists of Harvey Keitel, his weirdly Eastern Asian son, which isn't massively explained. I'm guessing he's got a Filipino wife or something who has previously died, and then also Juliette Lewis, who plays his older daughter, and they're the family that George Clooney and Tarantino kidnapped to try and get them over the border. They managed to get over the border, and now they have to wait to meet up with Clooney's gangster friends who are going to give them safe passage in Mexico. His Mexican gangsters have given them a safe house to go to, a bar that they can spend the night in, have some fun, and then they'll meet them in the morning, and then George Clooney would let the family go, and then they would go with the gangsters. What they don't know, and what I guess the Mexican gangsters didn't know, is that the bar is not an ordinary bar. It is run by, spoiler alert, vampires. Vampires. And not in the, oh my God, isn't that vampire really hot?
They are disgusting.
In the sense that
yeah.
these are creatures of the night that will kill you in the most gruesome sense possible. Before that big reveal, we have Salma Hayek doing quite possibly the sexiest dance ever done on celluloid. And that is at that point, at the end of that dance, where she reveals herself as a vampire, that we suddenly realize that everyone who works here and half the patrons are in fact vampires, and they lure people in like flies into a web, and then they eat them and kill them and steal their possessions, I'm guessing for money. And then the rest of the film is George Clooney, Tarantino, who actually he dies very much at that point. So George Clooney and Harvey Keitel and his family, and a bunch of other assortment of characters trying to battle themselves against these vampires. And it's a brilliant film. It's really well directed, really well written. The dialogue in it is snappy, bitty, everything that Tarantino is known for in his scripts. Just some brilliant performances from George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, and Juliette Lewis. I think I watched that film not knowing what it was about. I thought it was a gangster flick. And when it did that sudden shift in genre halfway through the film, genuinely not knowing what the film was about, it was such an amazing reveal. And I love horror films, so I enjoyed it even more from that point. And there were just some amazing lines where they're trying to like rationalize the fact that they're fighting vampires, and George Clooney did this monologue about the fact that they are in fact fighting vampires. And so it's a brilliant film, very much underrated, and I love it a lot. It is in my. I'm not saying it's the best film of all time, but it's in my top 5 favorite films.
I saw you tweeted the other week when someone they did like a 5 films you can't live without or something, and that was on there for you.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a massive fan of everyone involved in that film.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So a question for the lads then. Going into this, had you seen it before?
Yeah, no, I had seen it before. I feel like it's probably the only film that we've done where all of us have seen it. I think Al's seen it as well. But yeah, it was a film I've seen before. When I was younger, me and my brother used to love Robert Rodriguez films. Like when I heard we were doing this, I like looked back at like his filmography, and like a film that I've not watched for years I used to love was Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Amazing film.
Have you seen El Mariachi?
No, I don't think I have.
Is that the first
El
one?
Mariachi is a prequel to Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and it's so good.
Is it?
And It's
Is
set.
it
It's a Spanish film, so it's set in Mexico, and they all speak Spanish. But yeah, it's a brilliant film.
Is it before Desperado?
Yes.
Yeah,
is it the one
that
that's,
the other one, like the trilogy? I think?
Yeah. So it goes
That's
El
the only one.
Mariachi,
Yeah, I've not
Desperado,
seen.
and yeah.
So you had seen it as well?
I had seen it. I think the last time I watched it was the first time I'd ever watched it. So it's only like the second time I'd seen it.
I was the same.
And it's like two different films. It's so mad. Like you said, Tez, the first time I watched it, no one told me about the little twist in the middle, and I was like, I don't.
So, like, I remember the first time I watched it being like, oh, it's a crime film, and then like Tez says there's this dance that she does, and you're like, I think I watched it when I was about 15, so I was like, hello, and then and literally there's just a bit when you go, what?
Yeah. You suddenly go. I mean, what's happening now?
Yeah.
It's like
I feel like this film, the first hour of this film could be like a Coen Brothers film, and then all of a sudden it just goes crazy. For me, it's like the point when they get to the bar and Sex Machine's penis gun comes out. I feel like that only makes sense in a Robert Rodriguez film. No one else would do that in a film.
Yeah, it's one of the best twists like in a film. It's like almost like it's as impactful as something like Psycho or something like that, because you really aren't expecting it, and it plays with the genre in such a way that it really does knock you for six, because at that point in the film you are kind of thinking, where is this going? Like,
but at the same time though, I'm watching the first half of that film and going, I like this film. Before we've even got to the vampires, I'm going, this is a cool gangster prison.
There must have been someone at some point who'd been watching it at home for the first time and has gone, I'm just going to pop to the loo. Gone back and gone, I've changed the...
why are we watching this now?
Yeah.
I think what's interesting about this is I feel like that first hour, it could have potentially been like an Oscar buzz film. That's the vibe.
It is a good first hour.
But I think had the film stayed like that, it wouldn't have become as iconic or as memorable as it has, because of the whole vampire craziness of the last sort of 40 minutes of it. Yeah.
And also there's some. Also, even within the vampires, there's some amazing performances. Salma Hayek, there's Cheech from Cheech and Chong.
3 times.
Yeah. So he's in it, and then the big Mexican guy,
Danny Trejo.
Danny Trejo.
Yes, Danny Trejo. And them three are just brilliant in it. I mean, Salma Hayek's literally in it for like those 2 minutes, but their 3 performances, and even Sex Machine's amazing, and then the big black guy who's fighting with them, he's amazing. Like
Frost.
there are some like great cameos in there that are just, and even then, even after the twist, the dialogue is still so snappy. Like there's moments where George Clooney has a couple of still monologues afterwards that are still really, really good.
It's the quality of the script stays with it all the way. But I think what I really like is the boldness to just write that and be like, and then it's a vampire film. Like, like in the boardroom being like, yeah, cool, get the guy from ER. Do you know what I mean? He's going to be Batman, and then they're all vampires. What? Yeah, then they're all vampires.
Imagine pitching that film in detail, and then the producer going, "This is an incredible film." So you've got 2 brothers on the run. One's a psycho, one's a criminal, but quite rational, and then you've got this amazing mixed race family with Juliette Lewis doing Juliette Lewis quirky stuff. Right. So they get to the bar. Right, how are they going to get out of this? What's going to happen? Is Harvey Keitel going to try and suddenly change George Clooney? What's happening? No, it's vampires come out.
Yeah.
Was it? Sorry, what?
Yeah.
What? Sorry, why? Why?
Because I said they did. Oh right, okay.
I'd read Tarantino wrote this before he wrote Pulp Fiction, and no one wanted it. They took it to a bunch of studios and no one wanted it. And as soon as he'd written Pulp Fiction and that came out, then suddenly every studio just wanted anything that he had any kind of attachment to. So like, now is the time to finally make this film.
It's like one of those things, isn't it? When you're hot, you're hot. It's like if you look at the Marvel films, when they were so hot that when they made Guardians of the Galaxy, I remember it was mad. People were going to be like, "This is what they're doing. It's about a tree and a raccoon and and then it's one of the best ones." You know,
I would not have predicted that when I watched the trailer.
No,
No,
absolutely not. I'll tell you one of the things I really like is not only does it kind of changes really quickly, but it goes so mental. It goes from like being quite naturalistic, but then there's like musicians playing dead bodies.
Like they dial it up to 11, don't they? They're like, you know what? If we're gonna do this, let's do this.
Yeah.
Green blood, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's great. Like I can imagine, like maybe like when Tarantino was writing it, you know, before he wrote those iconic films, like maybe he was like had writer's block. Maybe it got to the point in the bar where he's like, okay, this is really good stuff so far. Now I'm like, he's like, I now need to take it home. Like, what's the last act of the film? And he's there getting stoned with his buddies, with his maybe someone he's living with at the time, a flat share, whatever. And they're going, what if? Well, maybe they're watching Lost Boys or something. And they're like, oh, what if that film you're writing? What if they were vampire? What if they were vampires? And Tarantino's going, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, right? I do writing the films, you do the dishes. That's the deal. And then later that night, he's going, what if they were vampires?
What if they are vampires?
Just that thought process, because it does. It's a massive shift in genre and also like tone as well. Like you said, like it's quite real up to that point.
Yeah.
Like I live. This world is our world. Like I live in this world. Like it's quite.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, boom, we're in supernatural fantasy land dialed up to 11. Like it's so good.
It really, and I also like the fact that it's one of those things where obviously Tarantino's famous for making like he likes his B movies and his horror and his pulp fiction, I suppose, and it does that thing where you can't question it too much. But I like that because it helps the escapist element, because I like that like all the vampires look different, just like loads of people look different. There's plenty of films where all the vampires kind of look the same. They all kind of like bat-like monsters. Whereas in this, it's just like, well, what do they look like? Everyone looks like a mutant. Like, that's just it.
Yeah.
I loved Sex Machine's transformation. How he was really trying to hide it, and his teeth are coming out, and he's hiding the teeth.
And his fingers as well, yeah.
It's almost like a silent film comedy, isn't it, that bit?
That's it. Like, there's so many little bits of comedy, but I feel like the best horror has that within it. Those elements of kind of that really verging on silly. Because that's one of the main things I like about Robert Rodriguez. Like, I know this was written by Tarantino, but I feel like his stuff, especially his later stuff, is all about like, it's like Tarantino, but turning the silly up to 11. Yeah. I'm a fan of the silly, so it works for me.
I wonder why he never directed it himself. I know,
yeah, that just surprised me.
Maybe because he's in it.
He's got quite a big part in it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I guess. Because he's just done Reservoir Dogs and he's just done Pulp Fiction, so it's not like they wouldn't have given him the opportunity to. It's not like they would have made him get someone else in, or maybe maybe they'd met each other and gone, we'd love to work together, and this was the script that most matched. Like,
yeah. I think they'd worked on a project once before this film. I think that was part of it, and then I think the other thing was, I'm sure I saw an interview. Robert Rodriguez said because of him having a Hispanic background, he was like, this film would be perfect for you to direct. I'm pretty sure it's something as like as menial as that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, fair enough.
It's such an intense part he's got as well, complicated, intense part. You might want to put all your effort into.
You know what? He was all right, actually.
It's the best.
I thought he was really good. You know, one of his best performances.
Yeah, easily. Like, at that point when I first watched it, I didn't really know Tarantino like that. Like, I watched it when I was quite young, so it probably it might have been the first Tarantino film that I'd watched actually. So I wasn't like, so to me, he wasn't like this amazing director, and I didn't think, oh, he's a guy who puts himself in these little corny parts. I just accepted it. Oh, this is an actor that I don't know. So it was, for me, now looking back at it, I was like, actually, you know what? He got away with it.
It's the best I've seen him. I think what really works is his delivery and his kind of the way he talks is he's like quite softly spoken. Works for the creepiness of the character. So when he plays someone like Pulp Fiction, it kind of, he's fine, but you don't always believe that guy is that assertive.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you're like, no, he's definitely a creep. Like,
that's what made it sinister, wasn't it? It was like when they're in the motel room, he's like, "Come sit on the bed with me." And you're like, I know this is going again terribly.
Yeah. He's but George Clooney is amazing in it.
Oh, he's fantastic.
For me, this is probably my favourite Clooney performance.
I would say mine as well.
I've been. It's weird that obviously that you suggested this, because I've watched a couple of Clooney films recently. I watched The Descendants the other week, and if you haven't seen that, he's really, really good in it. But I've been on a bit of a run of watching films where George Clooney doesn't just play a really suave cool guy. Like I love Ocean's 11, but he's just wearing nice suits and being cool for the whole thing. Whereas in this, he does actually he takes someone who's effectively a horrible person and you kind of want him to succeed. Like the character that he plays, Seth, is not like if that person was in the news and found out that he'd been caught, he'd be like, well, good.
Yeah.
But in this, you kind of like, I like at the end that he kind of, you don't really know where it is he's going, but you know he doesn't want her to be there.
Yeah,
and that's amazing. That ending, we think, and most films would have ended with her going with him.
That's the natural thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really quite like the fact that he was like, I have done you a really horrible thing here.
Get out of my life.
I'm gonna save you from even worse. Just here's some money. Go home.
My favorite character actually was I love George Clooney, but was Sex Machine. He is so like adding to that thing of it's vampires. Like, imagine being like, and there's a guy with a penis gun.
What did he use it for?
Penis gun.
That's a different film if you want to explore that.
But it's that thing of they don't at first when the vampires appear, because I didn't really remember watching it. So watched it for me. It was kind of almost like the first time, although I knew I had seen it. Until George Clooney does that monologue, I was very much like, so do they know vampires exist?
Yeah.
Because they seem to know how to kill them. But it is obviously that what they're doing is they're making it up from what they already know from films and TV.
Yeah, because if we had a vampire, if vampire suddenly appeared, the first thing you do is try and drive a stake through its heart, right? Or grab a cross or something and be like, and see if that works.
Yeah.
Because that's what we know.
That's all we have to go on TV and film.
The penis gun. The penis gun wasn't in the script. Like Tom Savini, who played Sex Machine, he said it wasn't till sort of the day of shooting they were like, "We got this penis gun we want to use." Like I think that was originally something they wanted to use in Desperado, but they just didn't work for the film. So they went. So Robert Rodriguez was like, "I really want to use this penis gun in something, and this feels like the right film for the penis gun."
There's no such thing as bad ideas. It's just the right.
No, this is it. Especially for that film.
Just on TPA, Sandra, can you get on to Quentin and see if we can write the penis gun in?
Well, I think what my favorite scene in the film, though, and I think it is really that opening scene is incredible.
Yeah, in the grocery store.
Yeah, because you just like the copper comes in, he's talking to the guy, and they're having a really great conversation, and then you're like, "Oh my god, this guy's a hostage!" Like it's just. I thought that was incredibly well done.
Yeah, it's really tense, isn't it? Like, but it turns really quickly.
We're still making our mind up about Tarantino as well in that, aren't we? Because you know how he says, "Oh, he's mouthed help," and we haven't seen him completely, so we think, did he? Or is
and then
Tarantino genius?
And then 15 minutes later, you're like, he did not.
Yeah, he just tried to kill him.
He did not mouth help. This kid's a psychopath.
Yeah.
But just and that line, be cool, everybody be cool.
There's 2 sequels to this, and a video game and a TV series.
Yeah, and I watched. I haven't played the video game. I haven't seen the TV series. I watched the second and third. I watched the 2 sequels. The third one's interesting because it goes back because it's set previously about. I think it's an origin story or whatever. Which is quite interesting, but neither of them were very good.
No, it's all about this. It's all about this one.
The series is meant to be quite good, though, isn't it? I've not watched it, but they've made quite a few.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, because I think Sex Machine makes an appearance in the series as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
I'd watch a Sex Machine prequel.
How did he get to where the? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different characters you could have followed in that bar.
Oh yeah,
there's a Vietnam soldier who does a big monologue about killing a whole Viet Cong camp.
I loved him. I thought he was brilliant.
His story would have been like, let's do his story.
Why is he called Sex Machine? Has he got like a really embarrassing name? Tell you what, I know I'm called Keith, but I'm gonna have a penis gun and call myself Sex Machine. Like,
I think it was his idea to call the character Sex Machine.
Makes sense.
Why not?
Like, I'm pretty sure he was the one who suggested it.
Well, it was like Kenny, and they went, "Oh, what about this?
What about Sex Machine?"
How about Sex Machine? I think that's got a better ring to it. I'd want to see the Cheech Marin character prequel.
Yeah,
and like all the different characters he plays. Yeah, no, I'd want to see him as all 3.
All 3.
And how he lives the life of being all 3 of these characters.
Like the Nutty Professor, but Cheech Marin playing different people.
He's the Hangman, he's the Border Patrol, he's Carlos.
The 3 brothers. We all went different ways.
It'll be like the original Odd Couple.
So having watched it then, guys, I'll go to you first. Al, was there anything you kind of didn't like about it? We don't like to be negative, but was there anything that you didn't like?
I wanted Juliette Lewis to go with George Clooney.
Oh,
At the
really?
end. Yeah, only because I just felt really sorry for her. She had no one, and so went off in her van, and I was like, "Where's she going? Who's she going to?"
Because if it's meant to be that he's showing her mercy because where he's going wouldn't be nice for her, but can she drive?
I don't know. I just felt like they. I know he killed all her family basically, but I felt like they had a little bit of a bond going.
Also, maybe it's because like she's obviously meant to be young. Like she's meant to be like 18, isn't she? And he's probably thinking to himself, "I'm 35.
Yeah, that's true.
I will just end up having sex with this 18-year-old if she comes with me. Maybe it's best if she just doesn't come with me because it will not be good."
That's a good point.
Yeah.
With how much of a big deal they made out of Tarantino's character being a creep to her, it would be a weird ending for him to then go with her after like how much they made a thing of Tarantino being a creep.
I feel like he was a reasonable dude, though. I don't think he would have.
I mean, reasonable is relative.
It's within the context of the world.
But I think like I don't know. I wanted her to go with them, not necessarily like just be part of like a new family, if you like. I just felt a bit sorry for her.
What about you, Adam? Was there anything?
It's well, I would have liked to have seen Sex Machine survive, but he did have such a great transformation turning into the rat.
That's true.
No, there's not a lot. I think I didn't look back on this film as fondly as I thought I would, because I remember just thinking the first time watching it, I remember really liking it, but thinking that some of the gore was too much. But rewatching it, that's what makes me like the film more. I think that's what lasted the most.
It helps the aesthetic. The fact that it's so ridiculous helps it, I think.
Yeah.
Because even though it was written by Tarantino, that whole thing became like what you associate Robert Rodriguez with, just the gore and like insanity of his films now. Yeah,
even like you say, more recent stuff. I know the first one that comes to mind is like Sin City. Like things like that. Even not necessarily gory, but even like Spy Kids, which is his, it's mad, isn't it? It's just like thumbs running around.
See, I've never watched it.
It's really good. It's one of those kids films that, like a Pixar film, like you can enjoy as a film. So Tez, is there anything? Obviously, you love the film. But was there anything you would change?
You know what? I've been thinking about it. I don't think there is. I think it's because I think on that Twitter thing it was like name your 5 perfect films.
Yeah, 5
and I'm not saying it's the best film ever made, but it is such a great film. Like the dialogue, as I keep saying, is amazing. The performances are great. There's some great cameo appearances in it. The plot twist is incredible. It's silly. It's serious. There's some real pathos in it at the end when Juliette Lewis, you realize she's just been left alone in the desert. Like it is just a brilliant film. The score is amazing. So no, there's nothing that I would change in it. I think it'd be interesting to see if Tarantino was played by a different actor. I think that could have been
like I remember when I was watching it, I was thinking, I wonder what it would have been like if they'd have given it to not necessarily a better actor, but someone different. But I could really imagine someone like a Steve Buscemi.
One minor thing is, why didn't Juliette Lewis shoot her brother quicker? He's been eaten by like 5 vampires.
He's in so much pain.
Yeah, he's been eaten by 5 vampires.
It's still your brother, though. I mean, I think we can cut her some slack.
I don't think that thing of her just being there like, oh, I simply can't do it. You must be eaten by these vampires instead. And then is it Clooney who shoots many?
No, she does it.
She does it
in the end. Yeah,
he shoots Harvey Keitel quite easily, doesn't he?
Harvey Keitel bites him.
Yeah, but like, he's the one that shoots Harvey Keitel, isn't he?
Yeah, but Harvey Keitel bites him first, and then he hits him with the holy.
There's a lot less thinking time, though.
Yeah, that's true.
So how long, Tez? How long do you think you'd last in the bar?
Oh, not very long. I mean, a lot of it depends where you are.
That's true.
Like if you're mid lap dance, then you're one of the first ones to go. If you've got a penis gun, and that's going to help. There seems to be really one going round. So I guess it just very much depends. Like if you just happen to have your gun in your hand, like I think a lot of it depends what you're doing. But I personally don't think I wouldn't have lasted that long.
Al, what about you?
Probably not very long. There are winners and losers in life, and I am not a winner.
That's
So I
fine,
don't
yeah.
think I'd have lasted very long in there, to be honest with you.
That
I
sounds
mean,
your
like
last word.
Tez says, unless I had like a snooker cue or some bar weapon, I don't think very long at all.
Adam, what about you?
It depends what kind of alliances I had. If I'd gone in there with like
True.
Frost and Sex Machine,
That's true.
I reckon I'd have a good chance. But
Out
if
with
I
the
was in there
boys.
on my own, just getting a lap dance or whatever, I'm first to go.
Even with that bandana.
Even with the bandana, it's all a sham. It's all for show.
To be fair, if you're in there on your own getting a lap dance and you've driven to Mexico on your own, I just think, just kill me. It's,
He's dying what he loved.
What a way to go. What a way to go. Josh, how about you?
I think same as any of us. It's one of those. Where am I? What have I got on me? I think at the end of the day, the only people who survive are trained killers, soldiers.
You got a penis gun, you go with a whip, then
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
You
whip. The
survive.
whip was cool.
The whip was cool.
But that's why when I was watching it, I thought, well, maybe they know that vampires exist because he seems to have all the stuff to fight vampires on him.
I think that's just a very interesting backstory.
We need to revisit that.
So moving on to the critical reception then. Again, as we've said before, we don't usually put numbers on it, but to give you an idea, on IMDb, it gets 7.2 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it gets 63% off the critics, 76 off the audience. So what do you think, Tez? Is that underrated?
I think that's underappreciated. For me, it's a solid 8 out of 10 minimum.
I think I would agree. I think that's certainly the critics' score is lower, but I also think it's just a bonkers film, good soundtrack, everything you want in a film, isn't it? Really, escapist.
Sometimes the critics, if you give them something that's a bit too out there, they don't quite know what to do with it.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Al, what about you?
Oh, definitely underrated.
Yeah,
I can't think of another film quite like it. It's standalone, stands out by itself. And even I don't know, what is it? 63%.
The audience on both of them, it's about just over 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think it's an 8, a high 8 out of 10. I think underrated, definitely.
Yeah, Adam.
I feel like 7.5 to 8 is about right for me. I think the critic one is underrated for sure. I think it's much better than 63%. Particularly like a lot of the dialogue is so good, and like the characters are so clear. So yeah, I'd say it's underrated.
Okay, well, we'll put it in the underrated category then. Brilliant. Thanks very much for coming on. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. It's been really fun, man. And it's nice to talk about one of my favorite films.
Is there anything you kind of want us to look out for, want the listeners to look out for?
Not right now. I mean, I'll be going on tour at some point. So tezilyas.com, sign up to my mailing list for dates and stuff. And just Tez Ilyas everywhere on the socials if you want to follow me and see what I'm up to and enjoy myself.
It's safe to say all three of us are Tesbians now.
Yes,
That's
what I want. That's what I'm trying to do. Just collect loads of Tesbians everywhere.
Could we just ask, do you have a film recommendation for us?
Oh yeah, last night I just watched Booksmart. Such a good film. Like if you don't know, Booksmart is kind of like Superbad, but young teenage girls, not boys. But it's really well written. The script is brilliant. The performances are incredible. I was really impressed by both of them, the two leads. Great support cast, very funny jokes. I liked it a lot.
Brilliant. Well, that's it. We should have another guest for you next week. We'll hopefully do a couple of these lockdown specials just to keep things ticking over, and then we will hopefully be back with another series at some point, depending on if the world ends. Thanks very much for listening. If you want to get in touch with the pod, it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com, and the Twitter is @films_that. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Adam Ward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Al Bollins.
Thank you very much.
And it's goodbye from me. Thank you very much. Cheerio. Hello, Josh here again. I just wanted to take another little minute to say thanks again for downloading the podcast. It really is greatly appreciated. If you do like it, then please like, subscribe, and rate us wherever you get your podcasts. Special mentions go to Lee for the music, Luke for the logo, and Abby for producing, editing, and generally putting up with us. If you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, it's filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. Thanks once again, and see you next week. Cheerio.